Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Logan with West Desert Wheeler, and in today's video, this is going to be a collaboration on a couple of RC competition runs with myself and Alec from High Noon Hobby. If you guys haven't checked out High Noon Hobby's YouTube channel, I'm going to leave a link down below where you can go and check out the second part of this video where we settle the scores and find out who wins in this heads-up competition. Now, myself, we're going back in time to when I had the Tiger King Capra, which is a rear steer car on 2.2 tires, and that's running heads up against Alec and his rear steer Capra. It's a really good time. It was a lot of fun on these North vs. South finals courses. This is the first time each of us had run these cars in those courses, so it was a really fun competition. We ended up going score for score here, and it comes down to the wire, so you're not going to want to miss out on the episode over on Alec's channel. Let's check out these runs and see how we compare on course number 1. Alec is going to compare us on course number 2.
We're going to do rock, paper, scissors.
I'm ready.
All right.
Is it on go?
So 1, 2, show.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
1, 2, show.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, show.
All right, you won. What do you want to do?
Do I choose?
Yep.
I want to see you go through it.
Okay. I'll run first. I'll go grab my car. I'll stop that.
So, after settling who goes first, like real men, I go ahead and start first, as it was Alec's choice because he won. He wanted to see how I would approach these gates, which is a great competitive edge. I would do the same thing. Here we go. My old Tiger Capra. Man, this is bringing back some memories. As I go through gate number 1, just wiggle my way through. This car is on custom cut and shut Proline crawler tires, and these are tires that I had commissioned to be made for me. I did not make these tires, although these days I am making my own cut and shuts. Cruising through gate 2, had to give the throttle a good bump to get the belly through there. We'll see in a minute how Alec gets through there. On our way up through gate 3, this was a nasty one that I set intentionally to make this difficult. Even with rear steer, unfortunately the suspension starts to unload and I throttle out and I clip that gate, adding on 10 points to my score on my way through. Gate number 4, dropping into this little crack, pops up and out the other side. I do have about 25% overdrive going to my front tires, and that helps pull the front end of the car up and out of that crack. In situations like that, it really helps out. The approach into this gate is a little tricky because of the odd rock formations that you're running along this crack. As I pull in here, I realize my front end's a little too low. Throw it in dig to pop the front tire up on the line that I'm after, and then I'm going to let that rear axle track lower along that crack. 3 tires right here, and then I'm going to start turning uphill to get my front tires away from that lower aero cone. Something that I'd like to try and practice is to aim all 4 tires uphill in a crab motion. It will force the whole car uphill and not let that front tire push along the uphill ledge there. Now we're going to drop down and do a U-turn and drop down one of the big gates on this course. Big drops like this are always challenging. I'm going to use the crack off the driver's side of the car here to my advantage. And as I start dropping down, that rear tire is going to grab into that rock and slowly let me release, a little more controlled than if I were just to drive off the end of it. Right there, put my front tires exactly where I wanted, but unfortunately a little late on the throttle and end up upside down. Luckily with the big tires on these cars, I am able to utilize the rear steer and upright myself with a little bit of throttle control. Heading up this rock as we're going to come across and down another crack here. This one's a little tricky because of the cone placement. The cone is on the narrow side of the crack, and the place to drive through gets wider off the driver's side. So you want to hug the upper cone if possible, but you don't want to get too close because when your car comes down like this, it can let go of traction, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself sliding into the lower cone. Now right here, I go ahead and decide to go for the bonus cone, and this should eliminate 10 of those points that I accrued earlier on in the course. Taking a pretty wild approach here because I know I will belly out if I square up to it more. So I'm just trying to sneak these front tires up top. Again, using that rear steer to pull that front end over where I want. That overdrive helping pull the front end of the car up. And unfortunately, I'm on my belly of the car here, and it rotates a little more than I was kind of anticipating. Now I'm so close to this cone that I can't move my front steering without hitting the cone, and with the belly hitting on the rocks and all 4 tires pointed the way they were, I bumped into the bonus gate. So not only did I lose out on being able to take 10 points off my score, I actually added 10 points onto my score. So now I'm sitting at positive 20 for this course. This was a fun gate because it really only left you with one line option, and that's to go up the right side. Unfortunately, my car not sticking on the way up there. When the rear tires hit, it just bounced me a little funny. And now I'm trying to get some bite into the front end with a dig. And unfortunately, I was having some issues with my dig unit on this weekend. The shifting arm had worn down, as it turned out. I didn't know it at the time, but just unable to get my car to engage back into 4-wheel drive like I wanted. Unfortunately, had to take a reverse, get it down onto level ground, and get it out of the bind so that it could engage fully in 4-wheel drive. Now I'm going to come and try and hop my way back up here, get a little more aggressive with it. There we go, we got up, but then I had to use a dig again to shift my front end over, and I almost fall down into that crack and fall off the wall again. But luckily the car was just able to hang on. Again, the 4-wheel drive not working how I wanted because I'm on that climb. So finally, once I'm up top, it's able to engage back into 4-wheel drive. So really tricky there with the dig unit not engaging like I wanted. This is a really cool part of the course that I enjoyed making part of it, as I did design this course. Swinging around the end under this rock on this ledge, and then you're going to turn down off of it, a little taller than a curb here. So you definitely want to be careful not to end up on your lid. As we approach gate 10, going to drop the front tires down, and depending on the size of your tires, you can end up going very vertical here. Luckily, with my slightly taller tires, it helps out just a bit. You got to get your car lined up correctly, though, because it's hard to turn when you're pointed that far downhill. As I end out my course with positive 21 points. Here we go, we've got Alec from High Noon Hobby getting ready to go on course, getting his tires scrubbed in and double checking his battery status. And here he goes, taking off out of the start gate. Now, he has been watching my course run, so hopefully he has picked out some wise lines and learned from some of the mistakes that I made on course. As we see Alec trying to figure out which direction his rear steer is moving when he moves his dial on top of his Flysky GT5 controller. This is the ideal controller setup for rear steer, as it gives you full independent control of where you want to point your rears, and you're able to lean into them and use an infinite amount of endpoints there on the servo, basically. So it's not by click, it's just on a dial, and it's like your front end steering. You can lean into things if you need to. Making good work of gate number 1. Something I'll notice and point out here is that Alec is very calculated in his approaches to these gates, which is good. And also you'll see him crouching and creeping around his car as he's got an awesome comp stance. But it really is good that he does that. It gives him good views of what's going on. He wants to hit those exact lines with tire placement and whatnot. That's a really good thing for a driver to do. So big thumbs up in my book to Alec for that. Alec approaching this gate that I ended up hitting, unfortunately, so we're going to see if he can get through here clean and make me look bad as he works his front end up here. His car does not have overdrive, and at this point in time, his dig unit was not working. You can see his front end getting awfully close to gate 3, but that back left tire trying to climb up the ledge, it actually helps pivot the car down, fully flexing out his car right here, going to turn up with the rear steer, and unfortunately takes a rollover and kills that gate on the way through. So can't say that I could do any better there, Alex. So good effort there, man. It was definitely the right approach, just weren't able to stick it with our cars. So right here, my car pulls up and out of this crack pretty easy. You'll see Alex's car is a little more hesitant to do so. That's because he does not have overdrive, but he was able to break the tension there by wiggling his servo just a bit and helping his car move on up out of that crack. Pretty aggressive side hill as we work our way over to gate number 5, I believe it is. Now, when I was driving through here, Alec did not get a good view of how I approached this, so I actually did coach him a little bit on what he wanted to do. So he's doing a really good job moving around, making sure he sees the line that he wants. And I'm also telling him that he wants to get his front end up on the wall and keep his rear end low as he comes through this. Again, he doesn't have a dig unit and no overdrive, so he's got to work the front end up and get it where he wants, while the rear end's kind of really trying to push the car forward, and it puts the car in a bit of a bind. Now right here, he has wheels that have scale hardware for the beadlock rings, which look great. I love that look. Unfortunately, when you get your car planted over on a wheel like this in high traction rocks, those little screws grab into those rocks and it does not want to let your wheel rotate. So that's what he's fighting here, and he's really using his servo. But it is a great driving move there. He knows what he's doing, fighting the binding by wiggling his servo. So again, big thumbs up, doing great driving here. I love the concentration on Alec right here. You can see him just really checking for all those details and getting those tires exactly where he wants, which is a big, it's plays into how I drive. Is I really like to get my tire placement exactly where I want on my lines. So I give him a big thumbs up for that, because that's similar to how I approach obstacles. Again, getting stuck on that scale hardware there. He really needs to start heading uphill and getting away from this aero cone, or he could find himself in trouble. And unfortunately, the back edge of that tire just touches that. And you can see in the video there is cone movement. As much as I hate to say it, unfortunately, he did get a gate there. So a positive 10 points onto his score. So now he is sitting at positive 20. I had positive 21 at the end of my run, as Alec rounds the corner down into this steep drop. Gonna see how things shake out for him. He uses a very similar approach of using that rear tire to chalk up the car and slow it down on the way down, but he's also using a lot of servo wiggling, which is a great move, and it's just gonna slowly let his car controlled slide down. And you can see it right there, just a couple millimeters at a time, slowly working his way down the wall, and nice and planted all the way down. Totally looked under control the entire time, which is more than I could say for myself, because I ended up rolling over right there. So definitely had an edge over my driving style on that. Alec does have about a half-inch shorter tire, so cracks and whatnot like this are more difficult. It's very important to get his tires placed where he needs to. And without overdrive, the rear tires are just forcing these front end really hard into these cracks, where the tires are trying to climb in the front, but the rear just wants to push it straight into the rocks. And right there when this front end lands, it almost kicks his rear tires over into that aero cone. Luckily, he got the traction where he needed it, and the car stopped moving just in time. Doing a little poking and prodding did get him to commit to going into the bonus gate. I wasn't sure if he was going to try it or not, but we're going to see how he handles it. Now you can see his car has large brass weights on the knuckles here on those Capra axles, and the smaller height tire is going to give him a slightly lower center of gravity, but we've got weights out on the front corners, which is a key place to have some weight down low. And using great work of the rear steer and keeping his belly off of there with his own 3D printed flat skid. Doing awesome, and he is able to clean that bonus and knock off 10 points off his score. So now he's back up to 10 points instead of 20. So great job there, Alec. Working his way through the side hill, gate 8. With Capras, they're a little tricky here because Capras are wider than most cars, and there's only so much room in this gate to squeeze your way through. Heading over into where my dig unit started having fits. With his car having the dig unit locked out, he's not going to have any issues. And the way that thing just grabs onto the rocks and pulls that car up, like it wasn't even that difficult. Unfortunately, right here, he got a little bit excited and almost gets himself tripped up, but does a great job recovering. Swings around under this ledge. Great use of four-wheel steer. Almost looked like he wasn't going to make that corner, and that car pivoted right around. Yep, there we go, working his way off the ledge, and now over to gate 10 where he's going to go steep down into this crack. And again, with the smaller tires, his car is going to fall deeper into the crack, and without overdrive, it can be pretty tricky to get out of there. Using the front servo wiggle to let that car slowly come down and turning sharp on his way up. Right here, he's going to crab over to get his rears lined up better, which is a great driving call. I gave him props on that in real life as well. So way to go, High Noon Hobby coming out of there with only positive 10 points. Big smile and a thumbs up. Way to go, Alec. You smoked me on course number 1. This is only half the battle. We've got one more course, and that's going to be part 2, which is posted over on Alec's channel, and he's the one handling that whole video, and he's going to do his own voiceover with his own thoughts on these courses. If you go over to Alec's channel and it's your first time there, be sure to hit subscribe and let him know that West Desert Wheeler sent you. I would greatly appreciate it. High Noon Hobby is one of my favorite YouTube channels out there. He does a great job, and he's given me many shout outs, and I need to repay the favor. So thank you very much, Alec. I greatly appreciate it. You're doing great over there, dude. I really enjoy your content. And not only that, pretty badass driver. And in this course, you came out on top by a ways. You beat me by 11 points in a 10-gate course. So way to go, dude. That was really good. If you guys want to see how this ends and the final scores, you need to get over to Alec's channel to see how it all plays out. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Logan with West Desert Wheeler. Be sure to find that link to High Noon Hobby in my video description here. Hit subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Keep the rubber side down.